"How dare you say such a thing," he roared. "Are you calling my wives liars?" Aya Tope, the second wife, was a quiet woman with soft features. The other wives exchanged glances. Aya Segi's face hardened, her lips pressed into a thin line. The wives sat in silence, their faces filled with fear and uncertainty. Days later, the results came in. Baba Segi opened the envelope with shaking hands. As he read the papers, his face crumpled. Aya Segi stepped forward, her voice firm. "We did what we had to do to survive. You think being a wife in this house is easy? You only care about yourself, Baba Segi. We gave you what you wanted, children to carry your name, and you never bothered to ask how." Baba Segi was a man who carried his weight with pride. Both his physical weight and the weight of his family. In his town, he was known for his large, colorful igbadas that billowed as he walked through the bustling market. Baba Segi's confidence was as big as his body, and his booming laughter could be heard from far away. To him, life was perfect. He had a big house, 3 wives, and many children running through the courtyard. This was the life every man dreamed of, or so he believed. In the mornings, his wives busied themselves preparing his favorite meal, yam pounded into soft mounds, served with rich egusi soup. His eldest wife, Aya Segi, took charge of the kitchen. She was a tall, strong woman with a booming voice that commanded respect. She ruled the household with an iron fist and expected everyone, including the other wives, to follow her lead. Aya Tope, the second wife, was a quiet woman with soft features. She preferred to stay out of trouble, always looking for ways to keep peace in the household. She often bore the brunt of Aya Segi's temper, but she never complained. Aya Tope had learned that silence was her best weapon in a house filled with noise. The third wife, Aya Femi, was different. She was younger and more cunning than the other wives. She knew how to manipulate Baba Segi with her charm, and she often used it to get what she wanted. The other wives didn't trust her, but they kept their distance, knowing she was not someone to cross. To Baba Segi, these women were the jewels of his life. Each had a role to play, and he believed he had mastered the art of keeping them in balance. But everything changed when Bolanal arrived. Bolanal was unlike any of Baba Segi's other wives. She was slim, quiet, and educated. At 25, she had graduated from university with a degree in English. Her family had been proud of her achievements, but they had also pressured her to marry. In their eyes, no matter how educated a woman was, her life was incomplete without a husband. When Baba Segi came to ask for her hand in marriage, Bolanal agreed. She didn't love him, she barely knew him, but she was tired of the whispers in her community. She thought marrying a man like Baba Segi would bring her stability and a sense of belonging. She didn't know it would bring her into a world of chaos. The day Bolanal arrived, the courtyard was alive with activity. The children ran around, their laughter filling the air, while the wives gathered in the kitchen, pretending not to notice the new wife. Baba Segi stood proudly, introducing Bolanal to everyone. "This is my new wife," he announced. "She is educated, and she will bring honor to this family." The other wives exchanged glances. Aya Segi's face hardened, her lips pressed into a thin line. Aya Tope looked worried, and Aya Femi raised an eyebrow, a sly smile playing on her lips. They could see that Bolanal was different, and they didn't like it. Bolanal greeted them politely, her voice soft but firm. "Good afternoon, everyone. I look forward to being part of this family." The wives responded with forced smiles and mumbled greeting. Bolanal could feel their coldness, but she remained calm. She had been warned that it would take time to adjust to life in a polygamous household. Bolanal quickly realized that her new life would not be easy. From the moment she stepped into the house, the other wives began plotting against her. They assigned her the hardest chores, criticized everything she did, and excluded her from their conversations. One morning, Aya Segi approached Belanal in the kitchen. "You think you're better than us because you went to school?" she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Let me tell you something, education doesn't cook food or raise children. Your part?" Aya Segi laughed bitterly. "Your part is to stay out of our way." The other wives nodded in agreement. Belanal felt a lump form in her throat, but she refused to let them see her cry. She finished her work in silence and returned to her room. In her room, Belanal let her tears fall. She had never felt so alone. Her books were the only comfort she had. She spent hours reading, escaping into the worlds of stories that felt far away from her reality. Baba Segi was oblivious to the tension in his house. To him, everything was fine as long as the food was ready and the children were happy. He didn't notice the cold stares the wives gave Belanal or the way they whispered behind her back. He was too busy boasting to his friends about his new wife. "You should see her," he said one afternoon while drinking palm wine with his friends. "She speaks English like those people on the radio. My other wives can't even understand half of what she says." His friends laughed, slapping their knees. "You are a lucky man, Baba Segi. 4 wives and all of them beautiful." Baba Segi grinned, proud of himself. He didn't see the storm brewing in his home. The morning after Baba Segi's confrontation with Belanal, the family gathered in the courtyard. Baba Segi sat on his large chair, his expression hard and cold. The wives lined up behind him, smug and confident. They believed Belanal's days in the house were numbered. Belanal stood in the middle of the courtyard, trembling but determined. She had stayed silent for too long, but now she knew she had to speak. "Baba Segi," she began, her voice steady, "you have accused me of many things, but I have done nothing wrong. I came into this house with an open heart, hoping to be part of a family. But what I found was jealousy, betrayal, and lies." The courtyard fell silent. The children stopped playing, sensing the tension in the air. "What lies are you talking about?" Baba Segi demanded, his voice rising. "Be careful with your words, Belanal." Belanal took a deep breath. "The children you call your own, none of them are yours." The wives gasped, their faces turning pale. Baba Segi shot up from his chair, his large frame shaking with anger. "How dare you say such a thing?" he roared. "Are you calling my wives liars?" Belanal held her ground. "I am telling the truth. If you doubt me, we can go to the hospital and do a test. The results will show who is lying." The family went to the hospital the next day. Baba Segi was furious but agreed to the tests, determined to prove Belanal wrong. The wives sat in silence, their faces filled with fear and uncertainty. Days later, the results came in. Baba Segi opened the envelope with shaking hands. As he read the papers, his face crumpled. The tests confirmed what Belanal had said. None of the children were his. He looked at his wives, his eyes wide with shock. "How could you do this to me?" he whispered. "You made me a fool in front of the whole world." Aya Segi stepped forward, her voice firm. "We did what we had to do to survive. You think being a wife in this house is easy? You only care about yourself, Baba Segi. We gave you what you wanted, children to carry your name, and you never bothered to ask how.